Pastor Tom Atkins, Saddleback, Laguna Woods. Michael Pigon, Harmony of the Gospels solved. Masterpiece, finally created. I've been very excited to communicate this work to you. I don't know if you knew it when I was an intern in 2011 that you had a scholar on your hands. So I have staged the living room to make it like a study, display, library kind of a thing. And I'm going to show you something. Do you know how many people in your church have purchased a harmony of the Gospels or a parallel of the Gospels, or they have specifically purchased study Bibles to see the timeline of Jesus' ministry or to follow him through his Galilean ministry, through how he made relationships with the disciples? So you didn't know this, but I'm the world expert on that. And that happened in 2000. So in 1990 I got saved, and I could see that the Gospels are supposed to be, harmonious. They're supposed to be chronological. They begin with the baptism, somewhere in the middle, he feeds the 5,000. I'm going to bring you on in, okay? I've been renting a room here since September. And then at the end, somewhere close to the end, he raises Lazarus, and then he goes and becomes our Passover lamb. So a harmony of the Gospels is what this is called. And in 2,000 years, there had never been a consensus on Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, the true timeline of Christ's earthly ministry. And then in 2000, I solved it. In 2008, I proved it as a research project, Master of Arts in Religion, emphasizing biblical studies, Azusa Pacific University. In 2011, there I was in your presence, and I had visibility of quite a few things, that were going on. And, I had to go through some character development, obviously, myself. So come on in. And you'll see the place is staged, so I hope you like it. A lot of Bibles, they don't have a harmony of the Gospels. So here's like my New American Standard when I was undergrad at Cal State Long Beach. Here's some New King James. Here's a minister's Bible. Here's some Bibles when I was learning German. Here's the King James version. This is a supplemental material. My Harmony of the Gospels. I mean, you don't know this probably at this instant, but this work proves the true timeline of Christ's earthly ministry. And it comes in two parts. So there's my poster from 2000. I'll introduce that to you, okay? Because you're going to want to know about this. Saddleback is such an influential church, And then here's the poster. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about what's going on. Apparently there's a Baptist university. What's it called? I mean, I'm not even playing. Is it called Southeastern Baptist University? Is that it? Or is it Southwestern? Southeast? I mean, I'm not kidding. But everyone's gone there. And I didn't know that. So the issue that I have is one of the reasons I wanted you to be one of the 5 recipients, and I've had you on my mind since 2011. You and I are friends. We're distant friends, but I look up to you and I love you. And you and I, we have a bit of mentor, relationship, because you mentored me and you entrusted me with a lot. Now I'm entrusting you with the most important scholarly work in 2,000 years. And if you can understand that it is the holy grail of Jesus' ministry. It's his actual footsteps, season by season, relationship by relationship. So I'm going to show you how that's proven. Okay? So just believe. Because I'm going to show you right now. Okay, so here's a lot of Bibles that have a harmony of the Gospels. In California, the New International Version was really popular 10 years ago. I don't know if it's as popular today. Study Bible, Student Bible, Minister's Bible for a chaplain. Here's Zondervan again. This time they're doing the King James Version, Harmony of the Gospels. Who hasn't heard of the Thomas Chain reference? Right? Kirk, what does it say here? Kirkbridge. This is a popular Bible for seminarians, the New Oxford, annotated Bible by Oxford. Who makes this? Is this Crossway? I'm not sure. It's the Holy Bible English Standard Version by Crossway. You know, it's got a Harmony of the Gospels. You know, Holman, New King James Version, Harmony of the Gospels. Nelson, Publishers, New King James Version. And you didn't know this, but your friend Michael Pigon, Master of Divinity and Master of Arts in Religious, emphasizing biblical studies. I proved the Harmony of the Gospels, the true timeline of Christ's earthly ministry in 2000. And the world hasn't been ready for it. And the good news is that this is very conservative scholarship. And that's the good news, because the Bible was written as chronology. So all this yellow, this is when there's just congruity. Everything just matches. That's when there's three that match. Now this stuff matches as well if it's not yellow. It's just that there's not three accounts. Only two of the gospel writers did something. But it's all congruous. It's all congruity. Except for these four sections. So recently, Dr. Darrell Bach, Dallas Theological Seminary, wrote me an email. He said, well, we know that somebody has moved. Peter's mother-in-law is healed, and many are healed after Sabbath sunset. That's only 4 verses in Matthew. Here's where it goes right here. Peter's mother-in-law is healed, many healed after Sabbath sunset. Peter's mother-in-law, many healed after Sabbath sunset. You know, Peter's mother-in-law, many healed after Sabbath sunset. It just goes right here. Somehow it got displaced. And then there's only 3 more. 4 altogether. It's very easy. You know, Jesus forgives and heals a paralytic. Matthew the tax collector. Jesus' question about fasting. Those events are right here and right here. You just take this block. It just goes right here. The third block is here. Jesus is Lord of the Sabbath, healing on the Sabbath. It just goes right here. Jesus is Lord of the Sabbath, healing on the Sabbath. Jesus is Lord of the Sabbath, healing on the Sabbath. And then this just goes here. See? It just goes here. So the world wasn't ready for it. Jesus, you know, his timing is perfect. And now through many trials, you know, 2018 on April 25th, I lined up all the text. Matthew, Mark, and Luke. I lined it all up. Because it's already lined up, but then you have to print it and look at it. And you have to go to Galilee in your mind and in your heart. And you have to follow the crowds. Like, that's what was initially made me sick. I didn't, you know, I was nauseous. Because your heart follows thousands of people as Jesus, you know, goes to these synagogues. As he makes disciples and loses disciples. As he's threatened in Jerusalem, as he has success in Jerusalem. You follow the story. And that's right here. This right here that I had to do is the first 3 seasons of Jesus' Galilean ministry. Summer, autumn, winter. 3 seasons. Those are the three seasons that are affected because of this displaced text. Scholarship has tried to say that these are topical. There's nothing topical about these events being down here after wind and wave obey Jesus and 2 demon-possessed men are healed. They're just out of order. So that whole argument about topical format is now history. All those books can come off the shelf because they're just displaced text. So I covered that in other videos. You know what might have happened. But in our Bibles, we have Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John for a reason. There's a historical, traditional, you know, reason why we have, you know, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John in that order. And so this scholarship aligns with ancient biblical scholarship from the 1st century. It's true. This is very conservative, and it's true. And it just so happens it makes perfect sense. But to prove it, I had to create this 13.5-foot poster, Matthew, Mark, and Luke. And I had to see how it lines up and see where some of the nuances were and where some of the transitions were. So I can, without jumping, I can move and lower and kind of see when So it's you can see right where he's going. Oh, by the way, it looks like this. Here's Mark, and here's Luke. That's what it looks like, because they are in agreement. So in another video, I went ahead and why don't you come on up with me? Why don't you come on up? Come on up the ladder. You're one of my favorite people, Tom. And I just believe that God put you on my heart, for a reason. Tom Atkins, have you ever opened up the Bible with coffee on like a men's retreat? And just opened up to the Gospels and just wanted to be refreshed with the life of Jesus? I have. How many men have done that? And so what happens is when we open up to Matthew, somehow Matthew got displaced in 4 sections. And so it's confusing. But now it's been solved. So imagine like I did, I spent a lot of time on this ladder. Plus there's other ways to do this. You can make it a scroll. You can sit on the couch. You can put it on your desk. Matthew, Mark, and Luke. I'm just giving you an introduction here because I did send out some other videos. And in a previous video for Daryl Bach, I took this down and I hung it up and made it like a 6.5 foot roll, so you can kind of roll it. But this is hard work. So I'm just gonna kind of tell you what the format we're working with and what we're working with here. But we have the true timeline of Christ's earthly ministry. And if you can understand this, this is the most important scholarly work since the New Testament. Now, when I was on the Lake Forest campus, there were parts of the campus that reminded me in a very good way of Catholicism. I went to Christian school in 1st and 2nd grade and 5th and 6th grade. And there were just some times when I thought, this church, is reaching the world for a reason. And it's to connect people to Jesus and to connect people to each other, right? And that's what this does. This connects people to Jesus. So check this out right here. Every time I think of these Bibles, I think of you guys at Saddleback. Because if you can understand that this proves the true timeline of Christ's earthly ministry, I have to say this to be fair to you. This is a multi-billion-dollar accomplishment. Did you know there's a harmony of the Gospels in this Reims Douay Catholic Bible right here? Yeah, I'll show it to you. It's very prominent in the sense that it's the last thing they put in here after a prayer. So just come on in and take a look. Let me know. I'm not very coordinated. Eye-hand coordination, okay? So, sorry about that. Look. Having some troubles. Now, when I was a kid, I was born with a lazy eye. So, I've always been kind of challenged with eye-hand coordination stuff. That's a harmony of the Gospels. I was given this Bible by my godmother, 1965. Yeah, harmony of the Gospels is a real thing, Tom. And scholarship for 2,000 years has never had a consensus on the true timeline of Christ's earthly ministry. And your intern in 2011 solved it in 2000. And that's because of spreadsheets. Computers were popularized in the 90s. And so what I did was I just took a standard Pew Edition Bible, the Nelson Publishers New King James Version, and these Bibles, they have section headings and subheadings. And so I just took the section headings. I took the section headings and I put them on here, and I made a 6-foot poster. And I could see what scholarship hadn't seen in 2,000 years. There's only 4 parts that are out of order. Yeah, no one. I try to stay away from cliches, but no one had ever seen, the forest for the trees. They couldn't pull back and see what was so obvious. And what is obvious? Mark and Luke are in agreement from top to bottom. See that? They hadn't seen that. And there's a historical reason why there's confusion. That's covered in my paper. 2008, the Azusa Pacific University Harmony of the Gospel Solved. So I identified for the first time these 4 misplaced sections of Matthew. They just go here, like that. And what does that look like on text? It looks like this. And this proves that it makes sense, that it's a beautiful, wonderful story. And what happens is when you follow the crowds, you can't miss 1,000 people. They don't just disappear. and so the great thing is that they don't. They don't. You follow the crowds, you follow the festivals, you follow John the Baptist, and you follow the boats. You'll see, I mentioned that in other videos. Those are 4 huge time markers. So, I wanted to care for my relationship with you because right now I don't know where Saddleback is at. But I have some visibility of the heart in the ministry, and I think you might be it. I'm a evangelical, born again, Bible believing Christian. So like a lot of seminarians, we're surprised to find out that the Catholic Sacropagina is a really good resource. It's actually a really good resource. Do you see it? Do you see all languages, all Bibles, all commentaries, all harmony of the Gospels? My dad's parents were from Poland, and I have in my lifeline, I have an economist, Stanislaw Pigon. So apparently I picked up his gene. I'm just talking to you like a friend. But I spent 22 years in school, and I've done this work. Stanislaw Pigon, he wrote on economics. I have no idea. Was he a good guy or a bad guy? I have no idea. It's in Polish. I can't read it. Same guy. It's my family. Tom, what can I tell you? There's a lot to say here. Daryl Bach went quiet on me. I had sent him my work in 2005. I sent him this poster. And he had me send it to Germany. And he's had visibility of my work since 2005. And then this past March 15th, I called. I just had an idea, just call him. And he picked up and we talked for 39 minutes. Then we went back and forth on emails. And by the second email, if I remember right, maybe it was the third, but I could see I was way ahead of the game. I had solved this thing a long time ago, in 2000, and then I proved it as a research paper in 2008. And one thing that research paper does, just so you know, is that when someone makes a harmony of the Gospels, they have to prove John 5. This is John's unnamed festival, John chapter 5. And after these things, there was a festival of the Jews, and Jesus went up to Jerusalem. John chapter 5. It's famous in scholarship. It's John's unnamed festival. So the good news is, you just leave it alone. John 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, if it's perfect. And there's reasons why that John didn't mention Pentecost by name. And those of us who are spirit-filled, we have an idea why John, who is a Jerusalem insider, why he didn't mention Pentecost by name. But you just leave it alone, and then it meshes perfect. If you check out the Bible study I sent you, then you'll see I take you through that first 2 seasons of Jesus' life. And then the poster proves the next 3 seasons, summer, autumn, winter. It's right here. I love you, Tom. I appreciate you. And I hope you appreciate this work. Let's get it out to the church. Okay? The true timeline of Christ's earthly ministry, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. Michael Pigon, Harmony of the Gospel Solved. Love you.